So I usually film with my favorite Peggy Hopper behind me. Today I'm filming in my office where I have this wonderful, lush wallpaper. What do you like better? Should I film in front of the wallpaper or in front of my Peggy Hopper? You know, wallpaper is a big trend in real estate right now. Do you have wallpaper? Do you like the wallpaper? Let me know in the comments below. People say that we are living in a very polarized world. Everyone has very strong opinions. This is better, that's better. Whether you're on the North Shore of Kauai or the South side of Kauai, you are in paradise. People constantly ask me, where should I stay? And usually they mean the North Shore or the South Shore, right? Or where should I buy? Here are some tips and a little more nuanced information that might help you make a decision.
Come away with Annie to Kauai.
Life is short. Buy the beach house. Live the dream. Whether you're thinking about buying or visiting Kauai, a lot of people have this Poipu or Princeville kind of idea, right? Where should I go? Where should I stay? So we're just going to go through the pros and cons of both. There are other places to stay. Pa'a is more centrally located. Hanalei is Hanalei, right? There are many other places to stay and to visit, but two of the main tourist destinations on Kauai are Poipu and Princeville. Now, when I say Poipu, most of Poipu is actually Kaloa town, but people call it all Poipu. So in this video, I'm going to reference it as Poipu as well. Princeville, I'm including all the pros for the North Shore because you're staying on the North Shore and you get the benefits of the North Shore. So what are the pros and cons between Poipu and Princeville or the South Shore and the North Shore? I find that most people have a favorite area. They're either South Shore people or they're North Shore people. So what are the differences? Because honestly, they're both great. Poipu is a little bit warmer. Its average temperature year-round is 78 degrees, right? Princeville isn't that much colder, but it is a little bit colder, which in the summer maybe matters more, but its average yearly temperature is 74 degrees, right? So there's about a 4-degree separation between the south side and the North Shore of Kauai. Now, some of that has to do with how much rain they both get. Now, we call Poipu sunny Poipu because it almost never rains in Poipu. And Princeville is on the North Shore of Kauai. The wettest spot in the world is also on the North Shore of Kauai. So you could go to Princeville on vacation and it could rain the entire week. Now that doesn't happen very often, but it can happen, right? So if you want guaranteed sun, you should go to the south side. If you are okay with occasional rain showers, maybe you want to consider the North Shore. I live on Kauai. Kauai is considered the most beautiful of all the Hawaiian Islands. The North Shore is considered the most beautiful part of Kauai. We have huge green mountains, waterfalls in Hanalei Bay, Tunnels Beach, Anini Beach, Ka Beach. We have a lot of just stunningly beautiful landscape and vistas. Poipu Beach is also a great beach. It's been rated the #1 beach in the world before, right? So also a great beach. On the south side, it's going to be more walkable. If you buy or you visit and you're staying on the south side, you're going to be able to walk to restaurants, shopping, and beaches, right? Now, depending on where you buy or stay, it could be further than you want to walk and you end up driving. But on the North Shore, you're probably driving, right? If you're staying in Princeville, it's up on a bluff. There are some paths that you can walk down the bluff to get to beaches, but generally speaking, you're going to drive to the beach. I usually say people walk down the bluff once and then they drive, especially if you're lugging kids or beach chairs or water bottles, you're going to drive, right? So Princeville being up on a bluff, you're going to drive down to Hanalei, down to Anini, or out to Tunnels. Where at Poipu, you can walk to Keys You can walk to Poipu Beach. You can walk to Shipwrecks most likely. So you're going to be able to walk to these beaches, where in Princeville, you're driving to them. One of the big differences between the beaches is the beaches on the south side are smaller. There's more of a rocky coastline, where on the North Shore we have more sand, right? Anini Beach, that's about a 2-mile long beach. Hanalei Bay, that's also about 2 miles long. The sandy beachfront where Tunnels is, that's 15 or 16 miles. These are some big, long, sandy beachfronts, right? So you have more beaches on the North Shore, or bigger, longer beach areas. So a lot of people that come here on vacation, they will think to themselves, I'm going to stay on the south side because it'll be sunny every day, and I'll just drive north a few days, right? Which you can totally do that. People that live here don't really care, because if it rains for a few days in a row, it's not a big deal. When you're here on vacation for a week, it might matter more to you. How does this affect vacation rental prices? Vacation rentals on the south side are more expensive to purchase, have a higher nightly rental rate, and a slightly higher occupancy rate. Now, vacation rental properties on the North Shore are a little bit less expensive, have a little bit lower nightly rate, and a slightly lower occupancy rate. As far as an investment goes, I think it's pretty much a wash, because the prices are also significantly higher, right? And it's interesting because outside of the visitor destination on the south side, home prices are less expensive than they are on the North Shore, right? So if you're buying in the VDAs, the south side is more expensive than the North Shore. If you're buying outside of the VDAs, the North Shore is more expensive than the South Shore. It's kind of interesting how creating these visitor destination areas has affected pricing on Kauai. When I first moved to Kauai, I wasn't exactly sure where I wanted to be long term. I actually signed a 6-month lease and lived in Kapa'a for 6 months. And I'm so happy I did that, because Kapa'a is very centrally located, and I could go to the south side or the North Shore quickly. And ultimately, I decided to live on the North Shore. But I work the whole island, so I'm on the south side, 3 or 4 times a week. And even when I'm down there, I think I would love to live here. Both places are great, and both places have a lot to offer. I find that often people from a certain area of the country prefer one side or the other. And it's interesting. My friends from Arizona definitely like the south side. And I think it's because they're coming from a dry, hot climate. They just naturally kind of enjoy a dry, hot climate more. My friends from Northern California, they generally almost exclusively like the North Shore, right? And they're coming from a little bit cooler, wetter climate, and so they enjoy the North Shore more than the south side. So it might depend on where you're from, but either way, if you're unfamiliar, when you come, you should spend some time on both sides. When you purchase, you should do it where you want to spend your time. In terms of real estate, a lot of times people prefer Princeville because it is up on a bluff, right? So you're protected from tsunamis, you're a little more protected from the weather. Hurricanes historically have hit the south side and come north, so the North Shore is a little bit more protected from hurricanes. A plus to the south side is you have the Kukui'ula Shopping Center, which is by far the cutest shopping center. You could argue the cutest shops and the best restaurants in one location. Now, Hanalei, which is not in Princeville, also has great shops and great restaurants. And now that the one hotel, or one Hanalei, has reopened, it might be throwing the Kukui'ula Shopping Center a run for its money in terms of great restaurants and great shopping. The North Shore, the topography is much more like a jungle, right? The south side, because it is drier, and gets very little rain. It's not deserty because it is a resort area. So people are importing plants and watering them. But the North Shore has taller trees, a more lush vegetation, and has more of a natural jungle atmosphere, right? You can look out over a ravine on the North Shore and it's all jungle. That's not going to happen on the South Side. I don't know the exact number, but the South Side feels more touristy than the North Shore, right? So if you want to be one with the tourists, which a lot of people like that, the South Side might be a little more comfortable for you. If you like a mix of local and tourists, maybe the North Shore is the right choice. If you're a surfer or surfing is important to you, the North Shore is considered to have better waves than the South Shore. But right now, it's summertime, and the North Shore is super flat in the summertime, almost lake-like. So in the summertime, the waves are in the South Side. If the waves are important to you, and you're buying, and you know what time of year you're going to be here, maybe you take that into consideration, right? Because if you're spending the summer here and you surf, you're going to want to be on the South Side. But if you're spending the winter here, you're going to want to be on the North Shore. Now, I've given out a lot of generalities, and there are definitely exceptions, right? Like I think of Omau, which is not in the visitor destination area, but definitely a street on the south side of Kauai, and that street gets a lot of rain, right? So you could live on Omau, have a lush tropical yard, and within a few minutes be at Poipu Beach where it's sunny every day. So we do have microclimates on Kauai, and honestly, anywhere on the island, you're still in paradise. Now, I live on the North Shore. I don't think that's a secret, but I do love the South Side. And one thing that I'm very jealous of people who live on the South Side, it is so much more convenient. A trip to Costco for me, that's a half day, right? To get there, to shop, to come back, it's going to take half of a day, right? If you live in Poipu or Koloa or even Kalaheo, you're in, that's a 30-minute drive. You can do what you need to do in Lahui and get home, right? It's so much easier. The airport is closer. You're closer to Lahui, which is really kind of like the business hub of Kauai. So the South Side, in terms of convenience, way supersedes the North Shore. If you're looking for a more remote, less convenient area, then the North Shore is going to work better for you. Another thing that I love about the South Side is the tunnel of trees, right? You turn off of the highway, you're going down, I think it's about 1.5 miles of a tree tunnel, and it makes you feel like you're in a really special place. And I love that drive on the South Side. On the North Shore, in Princeville and in a few other areas, up from being on top, you can look down and over Hanalei Bay, right? You can watch the sunset from there, or just take in the vista. Sometimes you can see the rain clouds coming in, or the clouds coming in, backing up against the mountains, and you can see the rain start to form and rain in the mountains, which is also beautiful. If you want to debate more about the North and the South Shore, hit the subscribe button and a like and leave a comment so I know what you prefer.